I have a juicer here, and I cut up my apples, these types of apples here. This has come off my tree. There's some Cortland, there's some McCowan in there. These are yellow delicious. By the way, this coloration on here is the fruit's microbiome. I talked to a grower of organic oranges in Florida, and they require by law that they dye them orange to sell them if they're going to sell them out of state, because they have rust all over them. But that rusty color, he said, makes them a sweeter orange. In other words, more nutritional value. This coloration here is two things. It's sooty blotch and fly speck. And every apple will have this on them that grows around here. But this is the fruit's microbiome. Somehow these little creatures here, these fungi, assist and make a better quality apple. Don't know how, but they'll find out how. So I cut these up, I squeeze them. By the way, when you buy them looking real nice in the supermarket, they are called chemically clean. They're called clean. This is what the growers call it, clean apple. And they do it with a lot of chemicals, okay? So you can be assured you get all the chemicals you need in your diet when you get those. So,
quick question, I'm sorry. When I go to an orchard, they don't look like that. A lot of commercial orchards do look clean, so that's just from them spraying?
well, that's what keeps and prevents the fungus from growing on it.
So they've just been real sprayed.
Yeah, they did a good spray job. And that's the purpose of it, because everyone wants them. Now I just run them through the juicer and make myself juice, and then I take the juice, put it in a pot. Now, I have some real sweet juice because I boiled this down. So I threw a bunch of kiwis in it with it, so when I can it. Now this is how you can it. You get yourself a towel. First off, these are the lids, these are the jars. I put the lids in hot water to soften. Now these are tomato sauce jars. You just collect any old jar you've got. This was an applesauce jar. They're any kind of jar, juice jars, they all work. And so I put the lids in here to soften them. Then I put hot water in here, hot tap water. Pour it off into the next jar that I'm going to use. Because you got to get the temperature of that glass up there, because if I poured it into glass at this temperature, I'd crack it. Then I just take my juice with some kiwis in it, because I figured I might as well have some kiwis with them. It could be just plain juice. You can do it right up to the top. And if I spilled a little on the top, I just make sure I wipe it. Take these, put it on, seal it. It's canned, all ready for the winter. That easy. I put them on a towel, because I don't want to put it on a table that may be cool. Well, I didn't tell you the trick that I did. I'll tell you that in a moment as soon as I finish getting these in. You want to be rather efficient about it because you want the temperature to be kept up there. I just make sure the edges are clean. I don't want any debris across it because that will cause it. There, it's done. And we can get another one out of here. Now this apple juice here, if you tasted it, it would taste like candy, like somebody put sugar in it, because I increased the sugar content by boiling it down. And anybody can do that to sweeten it up. Okay, don't have to wipe that. That's pretty clean. There, just canned 3 jars of apple juice. It's very, very simple, very easy. The apples, I was using a Red Delicious, which I don't have here. These are a higher brick apple. When you buy apple juice in the store, it's usually 13 or 14 bricks. 14 bricks is nice and sweet. It could be less. And bricks is a measurement of percent sugar. And this is a refractometer developed by Professor Bricks for the grape industry to measure the amount of sugar in the grape juice, because the amount of sugar determined the amount of alcohol when they fermented it. Okay? And they wanted a certain percentage of alcohol, so they would measure it. Now, what you do is you just take a drop of this, and here's a drop in here, and you just put it on the lens, and look through the lens, and oh my word, this went off the scale. I really did it. It sounds like this is super candy. I can't even see it. It's
What's the highest
28, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. It's beyond 32% sugar.
Wow.
So that's very, very, very sweet. And so when I squeezed the Red Delicious, it was only 11 bricks. So it's not going to taste even as good as what's in the grocery store. So I brought it up to 20 bricks, but in the process of heating it up, and it just really went up. And so you can make it as sweet as you want. And so I make my applesauce sweet because I juice it, and then I don't cook my apples in water. I cook them in the juice, and my apples are as sweet as candy, my applesauce. So all you have to do is boil your juice down after you make juice, and you bring up the sugar content. Okay? It's pretty simple, and you can just taste it. Your tongue will tell you as it's going up and down. And
after bottling it, how long? Where do you leave? You leave it just let it sit, or do you
yeah,
put it in the fridge,
these
or what
caps
do you
will suck down.
do? Right.
After a while, you hear them go pop. They're sucking down as they cool off, and that's the seal. That's
Okay, so that sits on the counter. You don't have to put it in.
I leave this here till tomorrow.
Yeah.
It cools down overnight, and then you can move it. Don't move it now.
Okay.
Okay? And okay, there's one more thing. We want to show you how to make grape juice.
Quick question. Why the kiwi?
What's that?
Why the kiwi?
Because I had some extra kiwis, and I usually can my kiwis in apple juice. So I figured I'll throw some kiwi in there. Kiwi and apple are a good combination. When I make applesauce, I put kiwi in there.
But you put the whole
Yeah.
kiwis in, you didn't juice them.
No, I
looks
just
like-
threw the whole kiwi in.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll pour the juice off and I'll eat the kiwis.
That's right.
You know,
You got a
that's-
treat, extra treat.
They'll taste good. They'll taste like candy. Okay, here we go. I picked some grapes this morning, and I had some help here with Peter and Dory, and they, oops, I'm going to need the scoop. Now, what I have here is called a squeezo, and I cut my tomatoes up, run it through here, but I use a longer, with the tomatoes, they don't have a big seed, so I use a longer thing. I have a shorter, I don't know what this thing is called, so I'll call it a thing. What?
It's a arbor screw.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, that's what I use for tomato, but in the grape I use a shorter one because the seed is bigger. So we take these here. The longest thing of this operation is taking all these grapes off each one and getting rid of the bad ones and just using the good ones. I'm wasting a lot of juice that's dripping on the ground. I would normally catch it, but I'm not.
Now this juicer dairy is better than the one on the table there?
What's that?
This particular juicer is better to use than the one over here? I know you have
Yeah, this costs $50. That's probably $450.
That one have a hand crank too, or just this one have a hand crank?
Just this one. But that does better with apple, the apple pears.
That one on the table needs electricity too.
Yes, I like the one that you have right there.
If anyone, if you can't
And this I make. This is how I make all my tomato juice.
I don't have this one, I have a small one. Hand crank.
What? Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for assisting me. I need it.
Do you run it through again?
I can, yes, I can run this through a second time if I want, but my juice will be stronger. I'll squeeze out more of the constituents in the skin. So it depends on how lavish you want to be with your grapes, because that's a lot to throw away. And normally they cook this stuff down. This is normally cooked down, and then they run it through, and you get more juice out of it. But I'm just doing this quick.
Do you heat your grape juice in the can the same way as you did the apple juice, Jerry?
Yeah. Yes, we'll heat it up on the stove, and we'll just put it right in the jars.
And does it have to come to a certain temperature?
Yeah, boiling.
Boiling?
Yeah, and if they're not sweet enough for me, I can boil it and get it up where I want it.
What's the name of that type of canning, Jerry?
This here, the squeezo,
No, the canning process. What's it called?
hot packing.
Hot pack.
This is what they do in industry. All the stuff you buy in the supermarket, all hot packed. Everything that's in a jar is hot packed.
The machine that you hand crank in is called squeezer.
A squeezo.
So how long do you boil it for if it is sweet?
What's that?
How long do you boil it for if it's already the sweetness that you want?
If it's you don't just all you need is boiling in order to put it in the jar for the jar lid to seal. What's that? Yeah. Actually, when I do tomato juice, I'm here because I'm doing like 5 buckets at a time. I'm here for hours. You can see it's a little thicker. But like I said, if this was cooked ahead of time, which is the proper way to do it, you would get even more juice out of it. It would break down the internal things there and
Oh, did something pop?
yeah, did you hear that pop?
Yeah,
That was the seal.
yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's the best. That's the best sound you can hear when you do it.
Then you know you did a good job. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't mind my my grape juice being thick. So I scraped this off, but I don't have anything to scrape it with. I scraped this off into here and add that. I guess if we want to do it, I'll do it the proper way. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now we'll bring it over to the burner.
All right.
And we can take that off.
This one?
Yeah, and put the lid on it. So we can just put it on the ground. That may be hot. Put it on the ground here, dear.
Okay.
Out of the way.
All right.
Okay.
So that is going to be the same, or do you need? This is one of the easiest of canning. Hot packing. You don't need a PhD to do this one at all.
Bring it to a boil.
It's more than just a boil. You know, it's about what? Brother Jerry, how long are you going to? 10, 15 minutes? Or 20?
No, it'll be about 10 minutes. We can come back in 10 minutes and we'll put it in the jars again. We'll get more jars ready.
Are you gonna add the kiwi to it?
No. Kiwis and apples are a good combination.
Oh, okay.
You know how they sell that kiwi apple juice in the store? That's a good combination, so.
Brother Jerry,
Yeah.
I noticed you don't have a strainer.
Uh-huh.
You don't strain your fruit.
Did you see me scrape the pulp off
Yeah,
and
yeah.
add it?
Right.
I like them thick.
That's right.
You know,
That's
I
right,
mean,
that's right.
I'm-
Most people, we strain the fruit and then we lose all the value, right?
That's it.
Yeah, you want everything.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the proper way to do that is to cook that.
Yeah.
You cook it first, and then you
Soft,
pour it in. We used to have an operation at our home in California. I would take the station wagon and I could put in about 1,000 pounds, a half a ton of grapes. And I'd go to the vineyard that I knew about, and they sold their grapes for wine. So the wine grapes have the higher sugar content. I would get 25 bricks right off the bat from that grape juice. So I'd go get a half a ton of grapes because the winery was far away and they would only take a load. And the load was, I don't know, 6, 8 ton at a time. And so when they finished a variety of grapes and they didn't have a load for 6, 8 tons, they'd leave it in the field. They'd leave the extra few tons in the field of each different variety.
Right.
So we get permission, we go in, I load up a half a ton in my pickup, drive it home, and then we get the operation going. On the wood stove, we had pots, 4 pots where we're cooking grapes. The boys would be ripping them off the stems, and that was their job. And then they'd squeeze them, and then they'd bring them over, and I would cook them on the stove, and then I would pour it through a container that everybody had in California who put up grapes. All the Adventists had them. And that container is what you boil your grapes in, but we didn't boil them. We boiled them in pots, and then we poured it through, and there was a surgical hose that came off the back with a little clip on it, and I would just be there with the jars and just filling the jars, putting the lids on, filling the jar, and then they'd be pouring more in, and I'd be filling the jar, and we would do, well, we put up a lot of jars, probably a couple hundred jars of grape juice. So when you bring home a half a ton at once.
That's a lot.
You got a little work to do, but everybody, it was teamwork.
Right.
There were 7 kids.
Half a year's supply of grape juice?
Yo.
What's that?
That was half a year of grape juice?
Oh, that goes on fast.
Yeah.
You forget.
Okay, so I better get another jar of hot water.
Yes, it does.
Okay, this is how I test this. I get a few drops of the grape juice. Just out of curiosity, we want to see what the sugar content is. This is not very good. 13.5 bricks.
Really, after boiling?
Yeah. Well,
A little bit, not too long, but
yeah, I would boil this down and make more out of it, but I'm going to put it in jars just so I can show
yeah.
how to put it in jars. So now we have the grape juice boiling, and once again we're ready. I'll have to get the container. So once again, here we take the jar with the hot water in it, pour it into the next jar to warm that one up, and then we take the boiling grape juice, put it in the jar, very simple process. Take the lids, and these are just old tomato sauce jars, and that's it, it's ready. Just got to cool down, and we store it and open it when you want it. You pour it right up near the top. You don't need any room in the top. The less room, the better. You have up top, the better. Okay, that's hot packing.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So now, would it make a difference of what type of fruit? Let's just say this was in the tropics, right? Pineapple. Would it be the same process
Exactly.
if it's acidic?
Exactly.
Even with an acidic fruit?
These are acidic. Tartaric acid in the grapes and malic acid in the apples and citric acid in the pineapple. Maybe some other types of
Yeah,
acids
yeah.
too.
Same thing. Okay. Would you do cane juice the same way too?
What's that?
Sugar cane.
Sugar cane, sure. Yeah. Now, what we have here are different nuts that grow in Connecticut. And these are some hazelnuts that I harvested 2 years ago. We have hazelnuts out there right now that are ripe. And the hickory nuts are coming on the trees, but these were harvested 2 years ago. Now, just last week, I picked up the chestnuts that are falling on the ground. I slit them, and then I baked them for 20 minutes or so, and now the chestnut is ready for eating. And I won't demonstrate you how to eat it. You can do it yourself. But this here is the nutcracker that you're looking for. Okay, it's a type of nutcracker that has an adjustment on it. You can turn these things, and for smaller nuts or bigger nuts. At this time, it's designed for smaller nuts, so we'll put a hazelnut in here that I grew, and you just pull it and crack it, and there's your hazel. right here. And so you can crack a lot of these. This is a larger variety of hazel. And every one I crack has stayed very good over the 2 years. And so you can have nuts harvested for a number of years. These are hickories, and I was cracking them this morning, and it seems only about half of them are good. But this type of cracker, you put the nut in there end to end, and it comes out in pieces that you can easily get out of the shell. If you ever tried cracking these nuts yourself with a hammer, you would see how difficult it is to get the nut meat out. But this makes it much easier to get the nut meat out. And so this is a good hickory nut right here. And we'll try another one.
What's that nutcracker called?
I don't know what it's called. I bought it from an American. Now this is dried up. It's not really bad, but it's just dried up, and you probably want a nut that's got more. But you put it in there end to end, and if you've ever tried cracking nuts yourself with a hammer, you'll see how it comes out in a half. That's very, very nice for it to do that. And here's another one. So you can store nuts. You can get this type of cracker and put it in. Chestnuts, you'll split. You cut the top with a knife so they don't explode in the oven. Cook them 15, 20 minutes, and the ground is loaded with them on the trees right now, the chestnut. And then it's ready to go. Now this is a walnut. This leaf dropped on the table because the walnut tree is right up there. And this is in the husk. And when you're gathering them, you go and step on the husk, crush it, and then the nut comes out. Now, your fingers are going to be stained brown for a few days after handling these. But, and then you would let them dry. But we didn't let them dry. We're just going to show you put them end to end. Now they probably won't fit in there because we have to adjust this. Because it's a bigger nut. Let's see. Okay, I think we can get it in there now. And you split it end to end. Now this isn't dry. You can see some of the moisture coming out. But it cracks it so that you have this fresh nut in here to eat. So that's a tool you want for cracking nuts. I really don't know its name, but you see what it looks like, and you want to go online and find a tool like this. If you ever tried cracking these with a hammer and saw how difficult it was to get out the meat, you would see why this is such a good nut cracker. You must put them in there pointed end to pointed end for a walnut, pointed end to pointed end for a hickory. As for the hazels, either way, just put it in there, it's round and it cracks. So this is an excellent nut cracker, and you would want that because you're not going to get much meat out of these with a hammer. And this thing costs $80, $90, I don't know. I bought it from an American. They say the Chinese put them out cheaper, $50, $60 or something like that. At least that's the way it was a few years back. But they told me that the mechanisms don't work as good on the Chinese market. So that is nuts. How to harvest and, you know, put aside your nuts and then use them. Okay.